The Leafs lost last night. I'm surprised, but I'm not. It just seems like the most Toronto Maple Leaf thing of all time. The Canucks came back after being out for, was that a month, give or take, 20-something days. And they beat the Leafs 3-2 in overtime after the Leafs took a 2-0 lead early and just couldn't hold on to it. The Leafs had 40 shots on goal. And Braden Holtby looked like prime Braden Holtby. I guess Braden Holtby just needed a month off to just get his head straight because that was the greatest thing that ever happened to Braden Holtby. The Canucks looked like shit all game long. The Leafs looked great. They dominated that entire game. But Braden Holtby decided they weren't losing that game, and they came out with the 3-2 win in overtime. It sucks as a Leaf fan because I don't really care. It was a game that they lost because of a goalie. But you have fans of every other team going, oh, this is as embarrassing as losing to your Zamboni driver. I'm like, no, it's not. The Canucks are still a good hockey team. Yeah, they've been out a month. They're still a good hockey team. They were still the best Canadian team last year. I know they got off to a rough start this year, but they're still a good team. Yeah, they were out for COVID. Some of them are still tired. So what?
I think you said it best. It's a real Toronto thing to do, to come in and, to lose against a team that's been off for how many days and had how many players on the COVID reserve, let's call it. And it's just
really
it's funny.
Thought that they were going to win that game. No one. It doesn't make sense as a Toronto Maple
Leaf. You expect them to win 6-1. Like Toronto, sure. You kind of expect them to just come out there and fire away. And the fact that they weren't able to maybe speaks more to Vancouver than it does to Toronto, but of course it's going to be turned on Toronto and in the Toronto market. I think it was the funniest thing to hear that this is related to the Zamboni goalie.
Come on, man. I don't feel embarrassed at all. Everyone's just like, oh, this team's falling apart. This team has 2 regulation losses in their last 16 games. And they've had a couple of ugly ones here lately, but they still have the second highest point percentage in that stretch of time. They're fine. Yeah, they lost to a good Vancouver team. They lost to Braden Holtby. They didn't even lose to Vancouver. They lost to Braden Holtby, who just decided to stand on his head. They only gave up 19 or 20 shots or something like that. It wasn't that big.
This Vancouver team was a team that I picked to finish pretty high too.
I had them second.
I expected Braden Holtby to kind of be that way all season, and you're kind of seeing it now, which is a little too late. Mm-hmm. But I think the biggest worry here is the way that Jack Campbell has looked since we've kind of all, pumped his tires and since they brought in David Rittich. And he just hasn't been able to find that same groove again. And, he's not really able to give you even a save, let alone a big save right now. And it's tough because, like you said, it's 40 shots to about 20 shots. And that's ridiculous that you're losing that game in overtime. You should walk away with both points without even giving any, right? You should not give any point up in that game to Vancouver. That should be all yours, especially them coming back. And, you lost that. So the only thing now is you have to go out this game. And I don't think Jack Campbell starts at all. Mm-hmm. And you have to go out this game and win. Otherwise, you're in danger of going into the playoffs losing. And that's not somewhere you want to be.
No. On Jack Campbell last night in that overtime winner, I had this conversation with both my parents at the same time. My mom goes, well, what's Muzzin doing on that play? And my dad goes, what's Nylander doing on that play? I'm like, who fucking cares what either of them are doing? Why are you letting in a puck that hits you in the chest? That's a save you got to have. Yeah, there might have been some missed coverage. I think JT missed coverage a little bit personally. Regardless, that's a point-blank shot from the far hash marks that you let go through you. That's one you need to have, and that's just one that Jack hasn't been getting for the past 3 games. It'll come around. I don't think that's what Jack Campbell is. I don't think he's as good as he was, but he's not as bad as he's been the last 3 games. It'll even itself out eventually, but I don't think he's your guy going into the playoffs. Hopefully Freddie's back, and hopefully Freddie's actually back. But who knows, man? They got to ride out these next 11 games and just hope they stay. They're in the playoffs. Who cares where they finish? They're in the playoffs. They're facing one of the 3 teams below them. Hopefully not Montreal. I don't want to do that. That's just cool.
I think it's tough too in 3-on-3 because the way that they were moving around the puck, Vancouver didn't really give Toronto the chance, and they brought it from one side and really swung it to the other and used a bit of their speed, right? And for me, 3-on-3, you kind of have to go more man to man and less of a zone, and you're going to take your chances of trying to intercept that puck. And I think Toronto just got really antsy because they didn't have the puck, right? They're not used to that. and then they bid on it, and they got burned for it. They didn't have a goalie that's back there to make that save anymore, and I think that's something they're learning.
Yeah, I'm starting to not be a big fan of Morgan Rielly in the 3-on-3 to begin with. Like, I don't mind him out there most of the time, but in the 3-on-3 when it's Matthews and Marner up there, I think you need to have a different option, like maybe Brody, maybe Muzzin, just someone that's a little more defensively responsible, so you can let those two guys fly, and you're not going to get burned on a 3-on-0 on the way back.
I would really like to see Brody over Muzzin. I don't think Muzzin really fits this.
I think Brody's the option, but
and I think that was where the issue was, is that Muzzin's kind of playing out of position. He's really good.
Why
if he
is
has
he the second option?
Yeah, like I would like to see Rielly out there as maybe the second or third option, but you're right. You don't need the option one on D1.
It's just too much. Like it's too much.
Because
if you lose that draw, that's been their biggest issue. Is they lose that opening draw and then you're pinned because like Mo's not going to stop anyone. He's not good in his own end.
No, and he can take it out from his own end when he gets it, and he can really make people think about, okay, is he going to shoot? Is he going to pass? Is he going to enter in himself? Is he going to, try to look for somebody? Like, he's really good at the offensive side of the game, but 3-on-3, putting him with those three and putting him with those two, like Marner and Matthews, just
doesn't work.
No. You don't need Marner, Matthew, and Morgan, No. You just need, like, Marner and Matthews.
Two M's. You don't need M and M.
No, it's M&M. Yeah.
Mo is an elite puck mover, and he's great if they win that draw because you're getting a primo scoring chance. The problem is when it comes back the other way, it's just like he doesn't really have it, like, defensively, and that's fine. I don't need a guy that's a stalwart on defense on all six players on the defense. But in 3-on-3, when you already have two forwards that, like, aren't typically known for their defense. Like, yes, they're decent defensive forwards, but they're known for their offense, and they're going to score. You need someone that can actually stop the rush the other way. I wouldn't mind seeing Brody get thrown in there. Now, we're kind of just glazing over two stories that happened in this game. First one, not the bigger one, but at the end of the game at the end of the third, there was a puck that it went in the net. I don't think there's an argument to say that it didn't go in the net. Problem was Braden Holtby did an elite job of just covering every possible angle where you can see it in the net, except for the fact that you could from the side. But there's no camera angles that showed it. And as much as it sucks as a Leaf fan that they didn't count that goal, there's no angle there that you can overturn that goal. Not one.
You need conclusive evidence. I think that's exactly what they knew, right? Like, and that's what Braden Holtby kind of hoped for, is just cover it up and see if I can actually get this call.
And he did a great job of it.
Yeah, but like we said kind of before, I don't think this game should have relied on that.
No.
You should not be relying on just the one. You hope for that end of the game, cram it in, and now you go to video review, right? You should be winning these games way bigger than that.
What a move by Holtby to just pull it out of the net. I think if you're gonna blame anyone in this play, blame the ref that's standing right beside the net, going, "Yeah, it's not in." As Holtby's like, "Yeah, you're right, it's not in," pulling it out of the net. I mean, you got to make a better call on the ice at that point. But who cares?
They took advantage. Right? Yeah,
it shouldn't have been that close.
And it should have ended the way that it did, and that's the unfortunate part. And you're hoping now that. You're absolutely right. Like, Freddie comes back. There's also going to be Nick Foligno who's going to start entering in, especally with Zach Hyman's done for 2 weeks now.
Yeah. So
with
that's
MCL.
the other big story of the game. Second period, Alex Edler comes across the ice. A lot of people using the excuse that he was tired after a 3-minute long shift, and he just kind of lazily stuck his leg out and full on knee with Zach Hyman. It wasn't pretty. It's a dirty hit. I don't think Alex Edler's a dirty guy. Like, Alex Edler seems like a nice human being, and everything I've heard from, like, Canucks fans and people that play with him, they like Alex Edler. But that play in itself was dirty, and it's very evident that he stuck his leg out to try and hit the knee with his knee, and it happened. Obviously, he has a torn MCL or sprained MCL.
Sprained MCL.
It was the one.
Yeah.
So it sucks. It's a bad play. He got 2 games for it, 2 games and a fine. I agree with the call, which is weird considering George Parros never really does anything right. But I agree with the 2 games. I don't think it should have been much more. It's like there's precedent in the past that shows this should be 2 to 3 games. I think 2 is reasonable. It's an ugly play. Yes, there's a lot of circumstances that go into this that wouldn't give him any more than that. So I'm fine with it. I also don't
think it's almost like a blessing
for Vancouver anymore.
I think it's like a blessing for Alex Edler. He's like, yeah, man, I'll take some more time off.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
I don't think he
think
cares that he's sitting out for 2 more games. That's like 4 days off. Thank you.
I agree that it was a lazy play, and I agree that he, it's kind of a really jerk reaction to like, I'm gonna miss this hit, so I got to stick something out there, right?
You're trying to do something, but that shouldn't be your reaction.
No, and now your instinct is also, you're trained not to aim for the head, because if you do, that's really it could be a lot worse consequence, right? But we're seeing a lot of players now, just as they're missing checks, they're kind of throwing out this leg
or something,
where they're throwing out something, they're throwing out a limb to hit them, which doesn't make any sense.
You want to stop him, like you came in there, you don't want to look stupid by letting the guy just undress you, and especially if it's Zach Hyman, like I'd be pretty.
Yeah, but especially if you're Alex Edler, you're older in this game, pinching up, trying to go for a hit that you're near the benches?
Yeah, in between the blue and the red.
Like he's a little out of position now for Alex Edler. So
it's an odd spot. It's a weird hit to throw. It's obviously ugly. It's lazy. He got what he deserved, I think. I don't think there needs to be any more on it. I have no ill will against Alex Edler. I feel bad for all the Canucks, even though I tweeted out that like we're done feeling bad for them because that's just scummy. But the guy's a good guy. He didn't mean to hurt Zach Hyman, but it happened, and I think he got what he deserved. I don't think he deserved any more than what he got. I don't know. Not that it's a bad play, but it's not a big suspension.
We have seen less games and less fines get out for more, or like for more dangerous hits. And
if you didn't give McDavid any for what he did, you can't give Alex Edler any more than 2.
It's tough, right?
Right. If you just compare the 2 plays, there's really no comparison. The power play, it's still bad. I know they don't listen to the podcast now. Manny Malhotra is not a podcast listener because whatever the fuck they're doing is not working. They had one lucky chance at the end of the 5-minute power play that redeemed me as a Leaf fan, because I'm like, if they don't score on a 5-minute power play, I'm turning this game off and I'm done for a bit. And Austin Matthews picks up the puck with like 20 seconds left on the power play and does what Austin Matthews does. Because like we fucking said, there's one play that should be on this power play, and it's give the puck to Austin Matthews.
Okay, so today just downloaded NHL 21 for free, EA Play. Thank you very much.
Sick.
Rock on. What I was seeing was a highlight reel of Alex Ovechkin. And him one-time shots.
But it looks like a replay.
I saw immediately after that? Hang on, but you know who else I saw come in there? Was Austin Matthews.
Right.
Who's the young players.
Who does that sort of thing.
Who is capable of doing that thing. I completely agree that Austin Matthews should be out there for the entire 2 minutes. The power play does not kill you that much. And as well as, like, if he has a 2-minute shift on offense the whole time, then you know what he does? He gets to sit. And then he gets to sit afterwards.
Yeah.
Like, that's okay. That's totally cool with me. If he sits for like another minute 30, okay, I got 3 other lines that I could probably roll through that aren't going to be as tired as that.
I don't get.
And then he's going to jump back out. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't get stupid emotional about Leaf games, like watching them, unless it's playoff games. Then I get into it. But like regular season games, I'm just kind of watching, enjoying it. I was screaming at the television yesterday, watching Austin Matthews in the middle of the ice, just standing there, like being the bumper. It's like, this is the most talented goal scorer in the NHL. And you have him standing there passing the puck to guys who can't shoot. Mitch Marner's in a shooting position right now. Like,
when Mitch Marner and John Tavares are going to get their best looks is when Austin Matthews is shooting and pucks are going wild. And like, this is what I mean. When pucks are moving around, when they're getting into the goalie's face, when they're just causing like all sorts of screens, and then or just faking it to Matthews, and everyone's like, oh, I got to go over there the same way that everyone does to Ovi, and then boom, like Backstrom. How many goals does Backstrom get or Oshie get because he's just like, oh, we're wide open because everyone's going to Ovi? Like it's a philosophy that works, and what I also realized with Washington is no matter who the coach is, that never changes.
No.
Something that has always been there is Ovechkin has always been on that side, ready to one-time it. And I get it. Ovechkin plays more of a defensive role on the power play because he's like really dropped back for a bit until they kind of slide over.
Yeah.
But Matthews is still able to get there, and if you give him enough room to kind of work his way into the zone, he's proven time and time again that he's also capable of getting it in tight to the net.
You have one of the biggest weapons in the NHL, and for some reason you're trying to reinvent the wheel with this power play and just doing weird-ass things that make no sense. And, like, they're just so stubborn on it. Like, it's been 40, 44. I think they're 2 for 44 or 45 now. Just dumb it down, man. Like, it's not working. Dumb it down. Do something simple. If that doesn't work, who cares? No one's going to get pissed off. At least you tried something. The draw passes obviously suck too, but like, who cares at this point? That's not even
what you have is not working. Yeah,
no,
like just you have to change it. And if that's something that absolutely, if you need to go back to this NHL game mentality of I'm just going to have the same player on, by all means, you need to do that. Then
I would rather see Austin Matthews put 7 shots into somebody's shin pads than watch what we've been watching for the last 46 straight opportunities. Like, it just does. There's no point in having this right now. It's not doing anything. Just let Matthews shoot at shin pads. I don't care. Just give it a chance.
Can you name me another player who can step up the way that Matthews would be able to on the power play on this team right now?
On this team, no. On this team, ever. Not even right now, just ever. Like, I love William Nylander. I think he's got a great shot. He is not even close to what Austin Matthews is, and I think he's your second-best shooter. Like, it's uncomparable. Just give him a chance. There's not many players in the league that can do what he does. Let him do it. Fucking 2 games. I don't even care. Just let him try it. If it doesn't work, who cares? You're no worse off than you are right now. At least you did.
Dude, not even 2 games. This guy could get 5 games out there, and just you'd be fine to see it. You would not say like, "Oh man," because he would just be shooting.
Because it would work.
If you got a shot out of him on the power play, yeah, you get at least one good look on the power play. I'm there. I'm in for it.
Yeah, it's brutal. Yeah. On to former Leaf legend, if you will. Patrick Marleau. Patrick Marleau is going to break the record tonight. I don't know if that game started yet. Is it a late game?
No, it's at 10 p.m.
For games played in the NHL. Now, apparently there's 2 sides of this. A bunch of people are like, oh, it's disrespectful to Gordie Howe that he broke this record. But like, fuck off with that, man. The guy had a great career. Carved out, 1,700 and something game? I don't even know what the number is. I didn't look.
1,768.
68? Thank you. That's incredible. And, like, give the man his respect. He's been an incredible pro his entire career. He's managed to stay in the league the last few years, despite the fact that there's only 2 guys from his draft that are left. It's unbelievable.
People talk about Joe Thornton and his illustrious career, how long he's gone on for. Patrick Marleau was the 2nd pick right behind him, and he's had the exact, pretty much like same career that Joe Thornton has had, and has longevity in it, has stayed healthy, obviously, for a longer period of time. Mm-hmm.
And he's been relevant.
So, yeah.
Up until like the last couple of years where he's been like a 4th liner for the most part, but like he's been a relevant hockey player up until like that last Leaf year where like he even put up points in his first year as a Leaf at like 40 or whatever he was. Like, people
were intense when he got to town. People were like, this could be the piece we need to make it to a cup run. Like it was crazy to see the hype. They're like, oh man, can you imagine the experience he brings to the team now? The cup potential they have with him. And it was realistically the same thing with Joe Thornton too. When Joe Thornton got signed, everybody was like, this should have happened back when Marleau was here. I don't know why you waited. Like,
yeah, it's weird.
Blah, 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 you know? And they're realistically like similar careers are paved out, you know? I think Joe's a little more of a household name, but,
yeah,
you know?
No, I love it. I'm happy for Patty. It's just really cool. It's cool to see him put a record up there. It's a legitimate pro. From one of the most legitimate pros in sports to the most illegitimate sporting event you'll ever watch. Jake Paul fought Ben Askren on the weekend. I don't give a single shit about the fight. I'm not here to talk about the fight. It's stupid. We all know it was fake. I have 0 respect for Jake Paul as a person. Guy's a brilliant businessman, though. Because there's lots of people out there that for some reason bought this fucking pay-per-view to watch a minute and a half of him pretending to be a boxer. Like, yeah, okay, congratulations. You beat the biggest embarrassment in UFC history in a boxing match. Like I don't understand why people continue to want to watch this. It's not boxing. It's barely fighting, and it's a joke. Why are people still continuing to hype this up like this kid means shit? You know how to get rid of Jake Paul? Stop watching Jake Paul. It's plain and simple, man. Like,
so who's on his resume? Sorry, he's got
a soccer player,
NBA player,
an NBA player, and a glass chin.
Sorry, a big 3 player, a soccer player, like you said, and a known wrestler who has not been able to pave out any sort of success in the last however many years.
Ever in the UFC, never did he have success. And
that is the biggest
trade
trade flop. That is the biggest trade to not work out at all.
That's a whole nother conversation on its own. But the fact that they're trying to make this legitimate by saying, oh, he beat a real fighter. No, he beat a wrestler that wasn't even good when he got to the biggest MMA league possible. He came over to the UFC, and they're pumping up his record like, oh, he was 18-2. He was so good in MMA. He was 17-0 in, I want to say it was Bellator, but it wasn't Bellator. He went from somewhere. Pride, something like that.
Pride or One?
Pride. One, that's what it was. So he comes over from One at 17-0, and like, this guy is the biggest thing you've ever seen, and we made this big trade. Demetrius Johnson going the other way, one of the greatest UFC fighters of all time, and he comes in there and gets his ass handed to him in 2 straight fights before final, or one. And actually, no, his first fight was the Masvidal one, right? Where he was or was that the second?
I think that was the second.
So he wins one fight in the UFC, plain and simple. He's 1-2 in his UFC career. He has the record for being the quickest knockout ever in MMA history. The guy is not a good fighter.
Dude, he was telegraphed. If you listen to Masvidal, he says, look, I saw tape. Every time this guy ducked, he put his chin to the left. He said, I'm going to come with a right knee when he goes for a takedown. And literally, like, word for word, Ben Askren bends down. And
6 seconds?
And what did that show? Yeah.
6 seconds, right?
And what did that show? That showed that he's not capable of standing up.
Yeah.
What?
What the fuck? Okay.
We have 9 minutes left. That's weird.
Huh. I've got 12 minutes left, but
I got 9. We gotta look into that.
I guess we'll see what happens in 10 minutes, but yeah, I respect the hell out of Ben Askren as a person. He's a great guy. I really like Ben Askren, human being. Ben Askren pulled the smartest move ever in his entire life because he knew he couldn't beat Jake Paul. He could barely beat you and I right now. The guy's been knocked out so many times lately that he just can't take a hit. He's 2 years out of the sport. He's 40 pounds overweight. He knew he wasn't winning that fight, but he also knew he was walking away with the biggest purse he ever got.
Right. Brilliant. So here's the thing. He beats Robbie Lawler by a choke.
That was his first fight, right?
He gets knocked out in 5 seconds. 5 seconds, says here, time, official 5. And then he loses by rear naked choke to Damian Maia, who has not been relevant since, I think, UFC 1 came out.
He wasn't good. He was not a good UFC fighter.
No.
He's a great wrestler. The guy's an Olympian, I'm pretty sure, Ben Askren.
People think that they can do it, man. I'm sorry. Like, if you remember Brock Lesnar took advantage of a really weak division. He then fought an old Randy Couture for the belt, won it, of course. Like, how do you not?
He could be.
And then he got his ass beat by a submission wrestler. Like,
it's just
he got punched twice and said, "I can't take this anymore."
I have zero reason to respect Jake Paul. Neither should anybody else. Like, I don't care that you beat a wrestler. I'm not impressed. And at this point, I don't care if you go fight a boxer. Because who gives a shit what you do, man? It's been 3 fights against nobodies, and you run your mouth like you could kick the shit out of anyone. Like, go away. I'm so tired of this. Like, stop watching his fights. I don't care who you are. If you paid for the pay-per-view, you're an idiot. I'm not here to be like, oh, do illegal things, but stream the goddamn fight. There's no reason to buy that pay-per-view. It's a joke.
I don't even think it was a wait. Nor did anything go to my phone. You know what's funny? Like, my phone gets sports updates constantly. Not one thing came of that.
No, because it's not real. Pete Davidson, greatest thing I've ever seen, because they cut to him and he's talking. He goes, you know, it's a legitimate sporting event when I'm here doing the commentating. He goes, I guess this event just goes to show you that if you have followers, you can do whatever the fuck you want.
Absolutely. That's so funny, man. Like,
I loved it. Pete Davidson just told it how it was. I guarantee Triller wasn't happy with him, but everything he said was right. And then he interviews Ben Askren, and he's like, everyone in the planet hopes you get him because he's a piece of shit. Nobody's here cheering for Jake Paul, but they're going to keep watching.
Did you see the way that Ben Askren came out? Yeah, I'm totally not going to waste any more time on this, but the way that they came out, like, they didn't care.
Yep.
One of them did, one of them didn't.
No.
And it was just literally a money
Ben
grab.
Askren walked out
people
with a
fell
smile on
into
his
it.
face because he just made the easiest $1 million he's ever made in his life.
You know what this
I
was
respect him
equivalent
for
to?
it.
This was equivalent to Adam Sandler calling up his buddies up and saying, "Hey, we're gonna make a movie." You know,
Easy money. Come join.
we need to be relevant for about 5 minutes. We're gonna see a quick movie, make it to Netflix, walk away with this year's rent.
I'm not a boxer. I don't claim to be a boxer. I don't have form at all. But if Jake Paul got angry enough at me from this and said, hey, come fight me then, bitch. He paid me $1 million. I'd step in that ring and get knocked out in 20 seconds. Go nuts. First time you hit me, I'm taking a dive and I'm getting $1 million to walk out. Like, you're an embarrassment.
I don't even think it'd be 20 seconds. If you've seen the way that he kind of swings, he does the same move. He's loads everything
He
up.
just comes at me. First punch, I'm just going to, oh, no. Yeah, sorry, I'm done. Like, fuck off. Like, you're an idiot. You're just handing out money so people can make you feel like a man. It's great.
You know who I want to see? I'd like to see Jorge Masvidal step in.
Yeah, that's the only UFC fighter I think would be a realistic boxing match for him. But I don't want to see this anymore. I don't. Like, everyone's like, oh, I want to see him fight so-and-so. I don't want to see him fight anyone. I'm done with Jake Paul as a boxer.
I only want to see that because if you're going to do it in the street then.
Yeah, fight him without gloves. Like, he acts so tough. It's like, you slapped Askren in the stomach in your pre-thing. Like, come on, man. Like, you're a bitch.
And then also, like, he wasn't knocked out. Let's be, like, it wasn't like a Nate Robinson knockout, which is.
He got up and said he was fine. He's like, I'm good. He's like, the ref literally told him, no, you're not, and rang the bell.
It was a wobble, yeah.
Like, oh, my God.
I got supper on the table. We got to go.
Though, I would like to call out LeBron James in a game of hockey. Because apparently we're just calling people out in not their sport. So if LeBron James wants to play me for $2 million in a game of one-on-one on the ice, I would gladly take that. Dude, I think I'm a better hockey player than you. I'm the best there is. I'll beat LeBron James.
I'm going to stem back to Jalen Ramsey when he said that he could make the NHL. Yeah, I don't even think that you could beat me. So I will take you on Jalen Ramsey. If you want to come over.
Call Triller up. We're going to set up a different event for them. We're going to play a little one-on-one on the ice. Me and LeBron, you and Jalen Ramsey. One of us can be the undercard. One of us can be the main event. I don't care which one it is. Let's make some money off this.
And we'll play one-on-one. We'll get
I'll prove how great of a hockey player I am by facing these great athletes. That's to make sense, right? Fuck off. It's so stupid. Guy's a joke. I can't believe we spent that much time on him. I'm really worried about this 5-minute clock.
We're going to waste this upgrade here.
I wonder how this is going to work.
I don't want to click the button. We do have Skype again, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess that didn't work.
But this has popped up 3 times in the last 3 episodes. But it says you're good to go. Counter. This one, it's actually. What's your counter at?
Yeah. Almost under 4 minutes.
Mine's at 5.5. So maybe this thing is lying to us.
Mine's at 350.
The Blue Jays had a doubleheader on the weekend against holy shit, who'd they play? The Royals. And they played on Sunday too, right? I'm losing it. I can't even remember. They played okay. Steven Matz was fantastic. He had a great start. They won that one. And then the team was good enough in game 2. They just got walked off in a 7th inning walk-off. I don't really want to talk a lot about the Blue Jays today because there's not really. Yeah,
it was a 9-inning game.
No, the 7-inning one against Salvi.
Where Sally hit it?
Sally hit the walk-off.
I thought that was 9 innings.
No, 7. Because it was a doubleheader. So this is what I want to talk about. I don't care about talking about the Blue Jays because you know what? The Blue Jays are the Blue Jays. There's no new news. Everyone's on the IL still. It's fine.
News.
Why
no, this was a full game.
Which one? Sally hit 2 home runs that weekend. He hit 2 home runs that weekend.
Okay, the last game on Sunday.
No.
Full game.
Sorry, Saturday's second game was the one he hit the walk-off in.
Okay.
Why in 2021 do we still have 7-inning baseball games? Like, what are we doing? Like, I understood it last year.
Yeah. Can I ask a bigger question?
Yeah, go for it.
Why do we have a man at second?
I don't know. I hate this. I hate so much of what's going on here. Like, there's 2 brutal rules in baseball that need to go right now, and they all got implemented last year because Rob Manfred hates the sport of baseball. Both of these rules are to end baseball games early. It's not to make the game more exciting. It's to get baseball games finished so he can stop watching. That's all it is.
You know what he could do to make it exciting? Universal DH.
Yes! Easy rules. Like, oh my God. The fact that we're still doing like college, or not even college, high school level 7-inning baseball games at a professional level, Like, this is a joke, man. I understand, you're trying to keep the players healthy. You're saving 4 innings. They were going to play the 9 the day before, and half of them are going to take another game off now. Like, do 2 9-inning games because half the team's resting anyways. Like, what are we doing here? This is a joke. All it's doing is like giving them an easier reason to cancel the game before if it's raining a little bit so they can just push it to the next day. There's more and more postponed games because they can push it one more day because they're only playing 14 tomorrow, not 18.
I think it truly affects the bullpen too, right? Like in a weird way, playing 3 games over 2 days is like, it's weird. You know, you have to go through a lot of interesting arms. We saw Tanner Roark twice in way too much.
Quick too, like
way too soon of time.
I was surprised he pitched again.
And I get that we don't have many arms right now because they're injured, but even still, it's like that is fast. Like 2 of 3 games. I'm sorry, you don't want to see that name.
And then you get into the 8th inning of those games, and there's a man on second just because. For why? For why? Like, I cannot stand what this man is doing to the sport of baseball.
Why are we giving everybody a man on second? Yeah. That's my question. Why do we give you know what I mean? You don't start the NHL with a power play for each team. Like, hey, you're going to go on a 2-minute power play, and then if you score, you get a chance to rebuttal that, and that's it. If you don't, you don't.
Why are we just
like
making up things?
The NFL is weird, right? Like, they used to have, I think, the if you scored a field goal, you get a chance back. If you just score, like, I'm not quite sure the official ruling now, but I would like to just see it like first person to score, that's it. Like, you take the ball, you go.
We're going to go with the most awkward transition possible here because our Zoom just decided that it didn't want us anymore, and, we had to restart. So, bottom line, extra innings suck. I hate the man on second. 7-inning doubleheaders are the dumbest thing ever invented. And Rob Manfred can take a hike because I'm so sick of every stupid rule that he ever implements. It's garbage. It's garbage. Plain and simple, it's garbage.
It's ruining the game of baseball.
Yes.
And you're trying to hang on to tradition, but you're
not.
Like, you know what I mean? You keep saying this game, baseball is like a tradition. We want to hold true to that. But then you're changing things like that part of it, which are just are random, and you're kind of turning a blind eye to it. And it's like, well, don't. If you're going to have tradition, then that's it. The game is the same way the game always has been.
Yeah, I don't know what he's trying to do either because, like, they're currently working on this rule. There's the Atlantic League or whatever it is that they just try everything in. And right now they have this weird hybrid DH thing where it's just like there's a DH as long as the starter's in, but once the starter's out, you lose the DH and you have to use guys off the bench and like the DH, you lose it. I don't understand. It's like basically a cop-out of like we have kind of a universal DH, but like it makes no sense to me. It's either like you want to see more action,
but if you
bring in the DH, or you want strategy so you get rid of the DH altogether. There's no in-between. It's stupid.
Okay. So if you lose it, though, then you just run through your 1 to 8 faster.
No, right? you have to hit the pitcher. Like, the pitcher has to hit.
Oh, so he still hits at 9.
Yeah, there's still a 9 hitter, but you have to just use guys. Like, I don't get it. Like, my buddy Nate, he's like, well, yeah, it introduces more strategy because, like, you either leave the pitcher in longer or, like, you have to do more work. It's like, well, if you want to do that, then just leave the no DH.
I don't want to see the pitchers hit
at
all. Am I the only one that feels that way?
Yeah. For relievers to hit. There's no good hitting relievers. There's a couple starters that I'm like, hey, they can hit. They get a few at-bats a year.
Okay, but you know what? You know what this shows, though? When Matt Bum and, like, Zach Greinke were hitting bombs, then, hey, you have a DH spot. Shohei Ohtani came into this game as a flex player, and when he's not pitching, he goes to the DH spot.
Yep.
So
I agree.
That's what we can start to see from this game. So, you know, if you're not pitching – then you have the possibility to go in the DH spot. If Matt Bum has a really good matchup against whoever's pitching, then for sure throw him out there.
Yeah, it just
like,
doesn't
but no,
make
I
sense.
do not want to see. I do not want to see Trevor Bauer go and try to hit.
God. No, there's so many pitchers. I'm like, you're not a hitter. And
dude,
like,
you know what I'm saying? When Max Scherzer took that bunt in batting practice and broke his nose, and luckily he still came out and pitched because he's just a beast. But even still, it's like you do not want that from your fucking pitcher.
No, it's just it makes no sense, especially sitting in the middle of the rule, being like, "Oh, we'll give you half." Like, fuck off. I'm just the guy. The guy makes no good decisions. There's not a single time when I've been like, you know what, Rob Manfred, that was good. I don't like it.
Do you have to do that? Do you do that as you progress through baseball as a pitcher? Are you you're always forced to hit, or is there any point as a pitcher that you were just a pitcher?
I always hit. I know guys that could only pitch, and like they were just POs. But like for the most, like I liked hitting. I wasn't great at it, but I liked it. But there were I enjoyed going out there and hitting from time to time. But like
Did
there
you
were
look good
definitely
when you
guys.
striked out? You
I
look
did
good when you strike out.
You look good when you strike out. I strike out. I don't look good.
You were that guy. You were the I don't look good guy.
Yeah. But no, like there are definitely guys that can only pitch, and I understand it. But I wasn't one of those guys. I like doing both. But no, I get it. But it just doesn't make sense. I don't know. Especially because like starters are the better hitters of the pitching groups. So why are you making it so that like only relievers have the chance to hit? Like why? I don't know. I just don't get it. It's stupid. I hate it. I don't think it's a good rule that they should implement, and I don't think he does a good job of implementing anything. I think he just needs to go.
I think the DH is nice because even when you have your stars that sit off for a day, they're able to play. Or, if you want to bring in somebody for a matchup, if you're letting these pitchers, another rule that you have to face 3 batters. Yep. Like, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
If you want to bring a pitcher in for 1 batter and that's it, you've used a pitcher for 1 batter. That's it. If anything, a disadvantage. Yep. Because now you're going through your bullpen more. So who cares? Why are we putting this? You have to see minimum 3 batters. Like, it does not matter.
I hate it.
That doesn't matter to me. So like,
I don't get it.
It's not traditional baseball if you have those rules in play and you're just turning a blind. Like, no, those are fine. Those have been there.
Here's the thing is like they're trying to make all these rules to quote unquote make the game more fun for people and have more young people watching the sport, which sounds great. Like, let's bring people to watch our sport. Then on the other hand, you're suspending Nick Castellanos for flexing on a guy. Like, that is so much more fun than, we have a DH. Like, who fucking cares about that? You're suspending a guy for quote unquote inciting a brawl by flexing at a dude. Like, come on.
And then supporting it after he
appealed it.
After he appeals it.
Like,
it's incredible.
Don't tell me you're here to make the game more fun for people when you do that stuff. I loved every second of that Nick Castellanos play. He deserved every second of that. Like, getting hit, getting that fucking the get to the plate there where the guy throws a wild pitch and flexing at him, that's great. You know who should be suspended in that play and nobody wants to say it? Yadier Molina. Because there's zero reason for Yadier Molina to do what he did other than the fact that he's protecting his pitcher by starting a brawl. He's the man that started that brawl. He came after Castellanos. Nothing to do with the fact that he flexed on him. That didn't start the brawl. What started it is Yadier Molina going Mach 4 to try and run over Castellanos. Castellanos walked away. Like, don't give me that. It's such garbage. That's such a stupid rule for the sport.
I think you want to see that animosity between the teams.
Yeah.
And like, if you get to flex on them, like we've seen pitchers. Stuff. We've seen pitchers stare down batters after striking them out. We've seen Trevor Bauer look over and yell without getting any sort of backlash from that. Like, this is the same thing, man. Like, you can't just keep taking it out on the hitters and saying, well, you got to protect the pitchers. Like, the pitchers are just as feisty back now. Like, they have just as much, much swagger as these batters do, and they're not afraid to show it, right?
Yeah. Like, I don't know. You shouldn't be suspending the guys that are having fun. You should be suspending the old crotchety dudes that are starting brawls because they disrespected the code of the game. Like, I'm so done with the code of baseball. Just play the goddamn game and have fun with it. Who cares? Why are you trying to be the most boring sport there is?
These kids are showing there's a new code. And that code is we're going to get paid
Ronald
young
Acuna,
and
Trevor Bauer, Joe Kelly for some reason is in that group. I don't know why. Joe Kelly, Tim Anderson. Like, all these guys are fun. They do things, and they have fun. I love it. But, like, the idiots like Yadier Molina, I respect the hell out of Yadier Molina for his career. He was an incredible catcher. Great. But don't do that stupid shit. And if he does, don't fucking suspend the other guy. Like, that's such a joke. I hate it.
Speaking of fun.
Yep.
I saw a very fun play in the Cubs-Braves game, which is really
This is fun. Very fun.
Because Anthony Rizzo is mic'd up.
Miking up?
And
any first baseman, it seems like, the greatest decision he'll ever make.
So he's mic'd up. I've seen him. I think I saw him mic'd up in the World Baseball class, or no, the
spring
junior.
Training. They mic him up all the time.
Oh, always. But I think I even saw him. He was mic'd up, like just watching like the juniors play, like whatever the international tournament is, where they all come together. Like he went there, right, and he was just like on the sidelines talking. I thought he was a real funny character.
He's so great. He's
gets
great.
Freddie Freeman in a rundown and yells
Freddie!
And then the funniest thing is when he steps to the side to throw it. I don't know if anyone's realized that he does not have the best arm because he really he almost lobbed it like that. He shot it like a beer pong ball. Yeah, he was like, I got to get that there.
Got him.
He got it.
That's all that matters. And then him talking in the dugout about it too, just like, I yelled Frederick at him. I don't know. It's just like
he's
him,
like, I don't know,
Freddie Freeman talking to Pete Alonso was great too. Freddie Freeman's a great guy. Chris Bryant, when he talks, is hilarious. They had Bobby Dahlbeck mic'd up, I think it was.
One of the best players.
So last year he was talking about how his belt was too big and he didn't like it and whatnot, or too tight. And then this year he's like, so last year I was talking about my belt. I got a new belt. It fits better now. But he's talking like they're hilarious. And that's so much fun. Continue to do that.
One of the best things for me was Beltray. And he would always he was always chatting with somebody. And especially if you played with him and were friends with him, he would talk to you the whole game. And how many times him and Felix Hernandez would just talk to each other, right, the whole time. So
Ramon Laureano was mic'd up in the postseason last year. I don't know if you remember this, but there was a ball that got hit over his head. He's like, oh fuck. And he turns on it. That's obviously not good for the television companies, but that's
what
so
you
cool
want,
for fans.
Yeah, that's so
keep
cool.
Doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
Don't introduce new rules that you think help.
Do you know how many people listen to the NFL Super Bowl, the sound bites of the whole game? It's 46 minutes, and it'll get millions and millions of watch because people want to hear what's going on in the game.
Yeah,
people want to hear the way that baseball players talk because it is it is a bit of an individual sport, right? As much as it's a team sport, you're in your own position, you're required to do your own job.
The spotlight is on you in every play, wherever.
Right, and it just basically breaks down to a percentage of if I'm going to be in play during this play, right? Am I or am I not, right? It's all about percentages with baseball, so it is kind of an individual sport. But to hear them talk with each other and just kind of also communicate the whole game and stuff like that, it's neat. You want that.
Yeah, it's great. They need to do more of it. I loved it. I love watching that video. I had 3 people send it to me too, and I'm like, it's great. I enjoy it. I love talking about it. It's awesome.
That's what you want to be talking about.
Yeah. Speaking of fun, there's a guy I already mentioned him. Fun guy, Ronald Acuna Jr. Not a very fun moment for him in the last game they had. He exited the game early last game against. Don't remember who it was. Do you remember? Cubs. I think it was the Cubs. He left the game with an abdominal injury, and it looked bad at first. But luckily for him, he's only going to be day-to-day with an abdominal strain, so he's not too serious right now, which is good because that's a guy you want to have in the game, love him or hate him. And I understand why people hate him. Don't get me wrong. The guy can do some things that really piss you off, but the guy's also an incredible ball player, and you want to see him around more often than not. Now, on the other hand, you have Cody Bellinger, who is now going to be out. I believe they said indefinitely, but he has a hairline fracture in his leg. Not good. That's not something you like to see.
I make a point.
Yep.
They didn't have Cody Bellinger last year.
No, that's fine. Cody Bellinger's not that good. Sorry. He won an MVP. He was great that year.
He was hot.
He
Taylor Hall the situation.
Mm-hmm.
He Taylor Hall the situation.
He is the Taylor Hall of baseball. Everyone talks about how great Cody Bellinger is, but he's only had one good year.
It's that smile.
The difference is that he's on the Dodgers.
He looks at you and he goes, "Hey, I'm good." Okay, but Taylor Hall now is on Boston. See, that's the thing. Is now you're kind of getting a comparison really accurate, and especially if he stays, then it's oh, well, you're at Boston.
For the people that comment about how stoned Brandon looks 80% of the time, Cody Bellinger is so much worse.
Oh my
I don't know if you've ever seen Cody Bellinger talk. That guy is straight out of the beach. Oh, dude. That type of just eyes closed. His eyes look like me when I smile. They're just
if they ever played a game in Toronto, I'd probably try to find him before a game. I think he'd be
There's
in the
no way that dude's not stoned 89-90% of the time.
No.
That guy, great kid. I think he's a great human being. I think he's overrated as a ball player, but you still hate to see that happen to one of their star players. He got off to a good start, too. He was hitting the ball really well this year. But that sucks. You hate to see it for the – you know what? No, you don't hate to see it for the Dodgers. They don't really –
Dude, they have Corey Seager back healthy.
They have 400 guys behind Cody Bellinger that can do what Cody Bellinger does. It doesn't matter.
Any of them, you could tell me that they're going for an MVP race this year, and I'd be like, oh yeah, you're right.
Pat Tabler was talking with the Jays team on the broadcast about how they have so many righties and like their lineup's not built perfectly and stuff. And he goes, but nobody's really built perfectly. And he goes, you know what? I take that back. The Dodgers are the only team that's built perfectly. I'm like, that's so true. It's like all their players can play every position. They're righty lefty switch. It doesn't matter. Their guys on the bench are going to come in and hit the most clutch home run you've ever seen. It's just like they're the perfect team. It's
Clayton Kershaw, Walker Buehler, Trevor Bauer, Dustin May,
Julio Urias.
So,
like it's just
hang
Julio
on.
Urias was so like he's just doesn't make the rotation because there's so many guys.
Kenley Jansen has decided to drop off to where they don't even need him anymore. One of the best closers in the league, and then when they won their ring, he wasn't even the one to like. He was there, but he wasn't the Kenley Jansen of past. He wasn't the I'm going to shut everything down. And yeah,
he's weird. He's weird in his outings because he'll show up and have 2 outs where he looks like Kenley Jansen and he's dominating, and then he'll give up a cheap single and then a home run, and it's like, shit, we lost. It's weird.
Dude, the Dodgers have lost 3 games all year, and that's
did they lose again? They are at 2 the last time I checked.
They've lost 3 games all year, and that's not a joke. Like, dude, Justin Turner. This is
Josh Turner.
404. 404. You better lock those doors when you're throwing him a pitch because he is 404. His average is 404. Get out.
He's having a year.
Tell me that he was sick. Tell me that he was affected because he wasn't. He's seeing the ball better. He got some superpowers from this stuff. He's like, yeah, bring it on.
He's got COVID superpowers. All the
yeah.
I don't.
No, dude, crazy, but they seriously they bring in. Yeah,
like Zach McKinstry came out of nowhere. He's doing well. I forget. I don't even remember the name of the guy that hit his first career home run against the Padres the other day to give him the lead. Like they're just pull guys out of seemingly nowhere, and they come in and they're superstars. That's just crazy. They could beat the All-Star team every single year.
While carrying some bad people too.
Yeah.
Oh,
crazy.
And then, dude, I forgot they have David Price, who's now pitching
in the bullpen.
Even though he's sucked.
It's nuts. David Price came in extras, pitched 2 innings and extras, didn't give up shit. He's a wizard.
Blake Trinan. Like, dude, these names.
It's crazy.
Joe Kelly hasn't even pitched. Like, Joe Kelly was just injured. So
it's crazy, man. That team, they're the most perfect team in baseball. So you know what? I don't feel bad that they lost Bellinger. I feel bad.
That's the funniest thing. I'm looking through this team and this league, and it's like, yeah, they really are the best team. Like, this is the most perfect team in baseball.
They're insane. I don't get it.
Do you think any other sport has that? Do you think any other sport has the perfect team?
I would argue Tampa.
Like currently rostered.
The Lightning.
The Lightning.
Maybe. Like
when healthy.
When Cooch comes back, like their playoff roster, once they're done with all this cap stuff, and they have everybody back, I think they're close.
They're gross.
I don't think maybe the Chiefs. I think. I don't know about
the Chiefs
season.
Really proved their offensive line. I guess injury, but. The Chiefs' defense is never, they're.
But when the Chiefs are healthy, like they are what the Dodgers are, because like the Dodgers have just like struggled.
No, but their defensive backs are pretty unnamed, except for like Sorensen's a big hitter, but like we talked about how bad his hits can be. The Tyrann Mathieu is not the honey badger of Arizona. He's locked some things down for sure. They've got some names, but I don't think that they're perfectly built, and they showed that.
But they're just, I think
like
the
Dodgers.
Thing.
The Dodgers are perfectly built. And Tampa, I agree with, because it's like, you know what, we're going to lose an injury. Like Tampa Bay lost Stammer, and now they lost Cooch, and they're kind of still going on. They're just rolling, and then they're going to get them back and healthy. And then that's the same thing the Dodgers are doing. They go with the injuries and they keep winning. And like 13-3 is no joke.
Yeah,
and it's not like.
I think that's the closest comparison, because like they don't have. I wouldn't say the Dodgers have the best player at any position. Like I don't think you're looking at like Corey Seager's not the best shortstop in baseball. Like Max Muncy's not the best first baseman in baseball.
Mookie Betts could be the best. Be the best right fielder.
So then Mookie's like their Andre Vasilevsky. Like they have one of the best available, and then they just have a bunch of really good guys that just fill in the roster. And then it's just, I think it's close. I think that's probably the closest comparison for me.
I agree.
Speaking of football, we have one little bit of information in football. Alex Smith, last year's comeback player of the year, craziest story you'll ever hear. Guy almost lost his leg, came back and played football. Just the fact that he played was insane, but he played really well. He wrapped it up this year. He decided to retire. Sucks, I think, because he had a really good year. I thought he could have had another job this year, but I guess he decided he doesn't want to do it. Respect it.
I think a lot of the mindset is any team that he's going to go to is not a team that's going to be, competing, and as well as like the offensive line and the risk of re-injury too, right? Like I definitely respect the career he's had. That's a big injury to come back from, especially like Washington last year was realistically your biggest opportunity.
Yeah.
Right. Like you're going in against an unproven Tampa team who never had the opportunity to have a preseason, and they are getting to know each other for sure. But that was like, I remember going into that week, everyone kind of told me like, dude, Washington is not as easy as everybody thinks.
No. They beat good teams a lot last year.
And people believe that if Alex Smith was healthy and doing what Alex Smith could do, that was the quarterback and the game manager that they needed. And then, the defense would take over the rest and just pressure Tom Brady to the point where he couldn't do anything. Not the case, but I think he saw now, like, wherever I'm going is not going to be – he doesn't want to compete. He doesn't want to –
a championship.
Compete for the job. Yeah, exactly. He wants to be the quarterback.
He wants to go somewhere, be the guy, and win a championship. And he doesn't – there's nowhere that has –
And I think the retirement is good. It's probably best, especially with these times of playing in, a COVID world realistically, where the states have just decided it's game over. We don't care anymore.
Hey, man,
we're back.
They're vaccinating 16-year-olds at this point. So
they are, they're moving and grooving.
They're doing great.
But you know what I mean? They're just – he probably had a long, hard conversation and thinking about his future. Mm-hmm. And just it's he's this – what is it? He was a second overall pick, I think.
Was he?
In his draft year? Yeah, he was – so the big deal about that was it was San Francisco's pick, and it was Alex Smith and Aaron Rodgers. And everybody said Aaron Rodgers should have gone second because he loved San Francisco. He's a California kid. Why not? Like he had that elite talent to just go. But Alex Smith was like a better game manager and was just a better at that time a better quarterback. And
Aaron Rodgers was relatively unknown in the sense he wasn't.
And then Aaron Rodgers
didn't think he was going to be this.
No,
he went first overall in that draft.
Did he? Yeah. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. First overall, he was a high pick.
Yeah. There's nobody really behind them that I'm looking at oh, wow. But, yeah, respect. I mean, guy had a decent career. He was never really anything special, but he ran some really good teams. Never really got it done in the playoffs, but good quarterback nonetheless. Hell of a story. Good luck the rest of the way, I guess we'll say. Back-to-back weeks, we've had to say good luck to a guy retiring from the NFL.
Good luck, yeah. I feel like we're going to get to that point, though, right now.
Yeah.
Especially in our sports career of being, sports fans, is we're seeing those players who
we grew up with.
Almost the stars or the household names starting to go, and that's where it's going to be a big turnover. We're seeing kids now of stars who came in, right? That's, to me, is kind of the weirdest thing when you see all these juniors.
I watched Vlad Senior growing up.
Right.
And now I'm watching Vlad Jr. and I'm one of the biggest Vlad Jr. fans there is.
On the team, yeah. It's incredible, right? It's so cool to see, but it's so weird to see at the same time, too.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about this Super League thing?
I don't think we need to mention it much other than just, it's going to create a lot of conflict.
I'm so intrigued, yeah.
But to me, I think it's because the Champions League was so big and the Champions League was so outside of the World Cup. I want to say Champions League was one of those titles that you just really wanted to have.
Right. Nobody cared about the actual seasons. You wanted the Champions League.
No, the Champions League and that's it. So to have this now, the Super League, it just really shocks the footy culture, if you will.
Now, I'm not a soccer fan. I can't stand the sport. I don't find it entertaining. But I respect it. I don't understand, maybe I'm just too distant from it to get it. But, should the best teams in the world not all play in one league? Not all be a part of one league thing? Champions League, I get it. But, there's so many teams that just don't have a chance in Champions League. Why the fuck are they making it?
I think you'd love to see it, especially in a sport where there's no there's no cap. It's whatever you want to spend, you spend on your team, and that's it. So to have these super teams in the Super League,
right,
to spend more, you're gonna start to see teams spend a lot more money because they're forced to. Yeah, exactly, right. There's these teams absolutely who are in this tier A, let's call it, this upper echelons of being
the super tier.
Yes, absolutely. And then they play teams that have no business being anywhere on the pitch with them.
No.
And you get an odd case of oh, this is going to be like closer. Oh, why is it 1-0 for their team? And then it ends up 4-1, and it's just like, oh, that makes sense.
Every now and then you get like the Leicester City where they come in and just blow people away for a season. You're like, wow. Right. And then they get slaughtered in Champions League because they're not the same team because you play Champions League next year.
Right.
Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. I don't hate this Super League idea. I know I'm distant, but as a sports fan, it makes way more sense.
Do you remember what happened to the TFC? TFC were just, but okay, right. But when they got hot and they got Jose Aldo and they got, Michael Bradley and I'm trying to think of the other name. See, I kind of know.
What the hell's his name?
No, that's Jose Aldo.
No, Jose Aldo's a what do you call it? A UFC fighter.
Jose Altidore. That's what I'm thinking.
Altidore. What the hell's the little Sebastian Jovenko is who I'm thinking of.
Okay, not a big fan.
No.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Don't like soccer.
I know that they grabbed a bunch of players.
Right.
They went on a run.
Yeah.
They ended up winning at some point.
They won their.
They got thrown into
MLS Cup. They went back-to-back years. They went to the MLS Cup.
Right. They then got thrown into a bigger boy league and got completely run over because they're not ready for it. And that's what's happening.
But like, that's what I mean. Like, I just don't know.
And then when you come back to your own competition, though, you're not able to compete because you're too busy competing with these higher teams and all these higher matches. And then you 4 days later, you have to play another game against somebody in the MLS. Like,
it doesn't make sense. I don't get it.
I apologize to all those soccer fans that we tried to reach out there and really tried to stretch this. Jose Aldo is
Jose Aldo might have been a really good soccer player, but
Jose Altidore is still on the team.
Josie's
I could not care less.
Like, as a sports fan, it just makes more sense to have the best teams in the world all in one little thing. Like, I don't give a shit about the nobody teams. Like, it's cool to be a fan of the shit teams that make it to the Champions League, and you're like, yeah, we get to watch one game where we get slapped 2-0. Like,
dude, there's how many stars have come here at the end of their careers, made a big paycheck, and walked right out because it's that easy.
This is like the equivalent of like taking the NHL and the KHL and the Dell and the Sweden League and all those leagues, and they're just like, whoever wins all those gets to play in a tournament next year. Like, the NHL is going to clean up, so what the fuck's the point of that? Like, there's no teams over there that are going to compete with these guys. They've shown it on the national level.
Yeah.
Like, even the KHL teams are like, Russia always has a team full of KHL guys, and they're never any good. Even with the NHL.
Russia also has a team with the NHL guys. Like, they still rely.
That's what I mean. They got the K guys and they get the NHL guys in there to try and like supplement that. It's just, it doesn't make sense to me why they don't do this. Like, why is it such an issue that you have the biggest teams in the sport all in one group? Like, who cares? Like, sorry, your team's not good.
You're not making money. That's realistically what it is. UEFA doesn't make money anymore.
Yeah. The UEFA's pissed. They don't even let guys play in the World Cup if they do this thing. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? So you're going to lose even more money by not getting some of the best in the world?
Can you imagine? Can you imagine if these guys don't show up? You're telling me Ronaldo is not going to show up?
Do you know the list of guys in the list of teams?
Not fully. Well, I know Man City is one of them.
Juventus is in it, right?
I believe so.
Ronaldo's on Juventus.
Which is Ronaldo. Right, Ronaldo. That's what I'm saying.
What's the...
Buffon, the goalie.
Messi's team.
FC Barcelona.
Barcelona's in it too, are they not?
I believe so. That's what I'm saying. Man U, I believe, is one of the teams. Man City.
So what you're telling me is that two of the best players all time now can't play in the World Cup because they wanted to play in a better tournament? Like, get out of here. Soccer's so dumb. Like, I respect soccer as a sport. I have zero respect for the rest of the business side of soccer. It makes no sense. Like, some of the things they let the fans get away with, and like, just the whole idea of the soccer tournament style thing, and the fact that there's 175 pro leagues that all seem to matter for some reason, I got zero respect for it. It's so stupid.
Dude, there's a lot of big teams. Even like Real Madrid, Tottenham's supposed to be in there. Man, both Mans, Chelsea.
Both Mans.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
AC Milan.
Like all the teams that make sense. All the teams that I would know. It makes a lot of sense.
Paris Saint-Germain.
But you got fucking Atletico St. Thomas sitting here going, this is dumb. Like, fuck off. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Like
We
there's
tried.
fans legitimately protesting.
We
because they're like,
talked
fans, not
about other
business.
sports. I think that's what we need to take away from this is that we branched out to a different sport.
We really tried.
I give us 2 thumbs up
I give us
because
like a
we
thumb and a half.
tried.
A thumb and a half. We did not say a lot of good things. Man, I don't care. I like the World Cup. It's fun. It's cool to cheer for your country. Our country sucks, so we can't really say much.
Dude, I remember when I worked at West, I worked at the Prince of Wales. We cheered for Wales because Gareth Bale was the only one on that team, and we were like, dude, he's our Dark Knight. He's gonna get to us the whole way. And like it was amazing just to cheer for a team. Again, no business being there. Absolutely not. They were never gonna win anything. But
I remember when Fernando Torres went on this run when I was in like grade 7 or 8. Fernando Torres went on this run with Spain in the Euro, I think it was. It might not even been the World Cup, but just unbelievable in the tournament. We were riding Fernando Torres the whole thing because he was just so much fun. Like that stuff's fun. But when you get deeper into the business and people are bitching about the littlest things, it's almost like golf. Like the stupidest little things in golf. Like was it Player? Who's the legend with the last name Player? Gary Player?
Gary Player.
Yeah. So his son just got banned from Augusta because he was holding a case of balls while his dad was doing the ceremonial tee off. And it was like his company's balls. So they didn't like that. They thought that was personal advertisement. That is blah, blah, blah. So they just banned him.
What?
Yeah, it's crazy. There was that thing with what the hell is the guy's name that grazed the dirt on his backswing?
Okay.
You know who I'm talking about? In the Masters?
No, not really. That's amazing though.
Oh,
no.
and is it Answer? Abraham Answer? That's who it was.
Mm-hmm.
When he grazed the dirt on his backswing and they gave him a 2-stroke penalty for it. And you had to slow-mo camera to see the dirt move. I'm like, these are the little things in those sports that I'm like, why do you have this? This is why people don't respect you. It's like, whatever. Hate it.
Golf,
soccer.
Golf's
There's
interesting.
so many little stupid things. But there's stupid things in North American sports, I guess. Oh, well. That's been us for this week. Hopefully we have more next week. Maybe not. Who knows? Thank you for listening. As always, don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at the BnB pod _ and on TikTok at the BnB podcast. You can.
It's where I look my most stoned. So
yeah, we look good. We always find the best clips. You can find our merch and more content, all sorts of fun stuff at theasports.com. Don't forget to click like, subscribe, comment, argue with us. We love it. If you're a soccer fan, I'm sorry. If you want to argue with me in the comments, that's fine. I respect it. I understand.
If you're my family and you're watching this, I apologize dearly for any sort of.
My family doesn't watch this. They don't like me. They hate hearing me talk in person. They're not going to listen to my podcast. But yeah, thanks for listening. We'll catch you in a few days, I guess, sometime at the end of this week. Cheers.